Nick Walker was one of Boston's finest police officers. The kind of guy that doesn't flinch in a firefight. Which is unfortunate because he died in it. As his soul drifted peacefully towards eternal rest in the ever after, Nick felt his life's work had been accomplished. But he was wrong. The universe wasn't finished with him. Nick's talents had caught the attention of a unique law enforcement agency, the R.I.P.D, a department of dead detectives policing the afterlife hidden from humanity. Their game is busting deados, dirty souls hiding among the living, trying to escape final judgment. Nick got a new badge and a new partner, a tough old cowboy named Roy. He was a smart-mouthed wise-ass, but he could put a crooked soul out of business faster than anyone. Celestial crime was on the up. The deados were running riot and had a strange new obsession: gold. They were snatching it up like an old lady at a yard sale, and they'd started working together. Something was afoot in the ether, and it was up to the R.I.P.D to sniff it out. It was time for our heroes to get their game faces on. Find the deados, kick their saggy, decrepit asses, and get to the bottom of this thing one way or another.
Alright everyone, welcome to R.I.P.D. the game, loosely based on R.I.P.D. the movie, which you should just watch if you have any interest in the concept whatsoever, because this game is not very faithful. So this game is a wave-based arena shooter from a third-person perspective, and I like third-person shooters and arcadey third-person shooters, so this game was a pretty good fit for me. The weapons we currently have equipped are the... I didn't mean to do that, but that's fine. The weapons we currently have equipped are the shotgun and pistol. Shotgun, obviously best for close-range combat. Pistol, better for long-range combat. I'm sorry, there's a lot going on, and it probably looks incredibly nuts and difficult to talk over, but I'm doing my best. We need to explain the basic game mechanics before I can talk about all these things trying to kill me, alright? So we've got the shotgun, powerful but inaccurate. We've got the pistol, very accurate, not super powerful. I just threw down a healing beacon. You'll notice at the top of the screen there's a bar that fills up the more enemies we kill. And as that bar fills up, we gain access to abilities, one of which is the healing beacon, which is currently highlighted. The other abilities are ethereal chains, which chain the enemies up, which I'm going to use right here. There you go. When enemies are chained, they can no longer attack you, but you can still attack them freely. I like this one. I like how the chains look a lot. The third ability is a turret, probably the one that we're going to get the most use out of. The fourth ability allows you to make a clone of yourself, which is not all that useful. And the fifth ability is easily the most useful one, but it takes a long time to get there. So, the more enemies you kill, the further that bar fills up, the more useful abilities you get. Pretty simple stuff. There is absolutely no shame in spamming the healing beacon, by the way, if you need to. Nothing wrong with that. It sends out pulses that heal you, and if you're fully healed, it gives you buffs to your attack power and defense. So, you know, you want to use that all the time? Nothing wrong with that. Other abilities we have, we're able to dodge roll and sprint with the X button or the A button, depending on which console you're playing on. Dodge rolling to the side is ideal when large enemies try and tackle us over. It took me a while to figure that one out, because for some reason I kept trying to dodge backwards instead of to the side, even though beat 'em up should have taught me that I should dodge to the side instead. Last important character ability, we have melee. The melee is actually not nearly as useless as it looks. Enemies die fairly quickly to melee attacks. Not as quickly as they do to your gunfire, but if an enemy's right up on your ass and you ran out of shotgun ammo, you know, melee's not a bad option. The way this is going to work is I'm going to be going through each stage, upgrading the weapons as we go, so that way I just don't start out with incredibly overpowered weaponry. This is one of those rare instances where I don't want to fully upgrade all my weapons before the start of the LP, because that would, like, ruin the idea of the progression. Anyway, there are ammo boxes. You can visit them anytime to restock your ammo. There's a few places in each level where there are ammo boxes. There are 5 encounters in each level. Last encounter is labeled the final encounter and does contain a boss battle. Now, last important mechanic before we can just talk about the shooting. Up in the top right... Oh, we activated a turret. Anyway, up in the top right, you may notice there is a timer. Actually, that is 16 timers in one. And it's also our life counter. Every time we die, we will lose one of those 16 timers. So it's a life count and it's how much time we have to finish the level. It is a very, very unusual method of doing lives. But you're very unlikely to run out of time. In my experience playing this game leans on the easy side. I mean, I say that, you saw me almost die several times, but I still think the game leans on the easy side, personally. You can die a whole lot, and the only penalty is you lose some time. You gain more time back at the end of the round. I've noticed a lot of people saying they found the game to be too difficult. That's a little weird to me. Maybe there's something I'm missing. I've played the game a lot already, like a whole lot, so... But even when I first started playing, I don't remember thinking the game was difficult. I remember thinking maybe it was a bit too easy for your average third-person shooter fan. When an encounter is nearly over, as you're seeing, the game will highlight the last few remaining enemies. The enemies are called deados, by the way. We're just going to call them enemies, though, if that's alright, because this game is very loosely related to the film upon which it is based. So, the enemy AI in this game. It's not fantastic, but it is a horde shooter, so the enemy AI can't be too good, otherwise you just get fucked. Turbo fucked, even, if you will. But the enemy AI does have a basic idea of how to flank you where you're at, and how to close you in. So it's not completely stupid. And there are challenges that appear throughout the level, such as this one, Know Your Place, which makes us stay in one specific area of the map and kill enemies from there if we want to complete the challenge. This is difficult because, as I was just describing, the enemy knows very well how to close you in. It does take them a while to do that, which is why normally you want to be moving. The stages aren't exactly mazes, but there's enough places in them, enough nooks and crannies for you to hide, that as long as you keep sticking and moving... That was the final ability, by the way. Cleared that challenge up in no time. Anyway, yes, the enemies are aware of what flanking is and how to close in the player, but there are enough places to hide in the map that as long as you stick and move, you'll be fine. Just don't stay in one place for too long, basically. Okay, that turret was stuck for a minute, but it fixed itself. So this game was intended for co-op, and I thought maybe the co-op was integral to the experience, but as I found out, playing in single player, just fine. Perfectly fine experience in single player. I was a little worried I'd have to find a co-op partner to enjoy the game to its fullest, but I actually do not feel like I'm missing anything, to be perfectly honest. So, some quick facts about this game. It retailed for only $10, which I think is pretty impressive given the graphics. Like, I know the graphics aren't going to blow anyone away, but they're pretty good for $10, right? It wasn't uncommon to see movie games with these style of graphics that were $30 to $60. Secondly, this game was download only, which was probably a very good decision from a business standpoint. But sadly, because this game is download only, you can't play it anymore. Can't buy it anymore. Which blows. Majorly blows. I was lucky enough to snatch it, but if you want to play it, you can't. You can't buy it from the PS3 store, can't buy it from the Xbox Marketplace, can't buy it from Steam. It's gone. Game's gone. Can't play it anymore. All gone. Gone forever. Poof. No more game. Can't buy it. Never buying it ever again. Universal Studios is not going to republish it. You know that. They don't give a shit. And the only remaining footage and reviews and discussions about this game are all incredibly negative, to the point that you'd think this game was borderline unplayable based on the way people talk about it. Like, oh my god, I was starting to worry that the game might actually be that bad with the way people were talking about it. But as you're seeing, it's a perfectly serviceable third-person arena shooter. Is it, like, remarkable in any particular way? No. It's okay. It's a very okay video game. It's satisfying to play. I like it. If you're a fan of the genre, you'll probably like it. It does try to do some interesting things, like the ability mechanics and the health being tied to, the lives being tied directly to your timer, and the mid-mission challenges, but it's not, like, super amazing, that's for sure. Doesn't mean it's awful. I feel like people on the internet need to learn to maybe not communicate exclusively in extremes. Like, whatever happened to pretty okay, or alright, or decent? Like, for $10, this is a decent third-person arena shooter. I have enjoyed my time with it. I don't really think there's anything particularly wrong with it. Don't think it does anything particularly outstanding. People seem to act like it shat in their cereal for some reason. Like, and I know, because I've read most of the negative reviews, I know that the people that played and reviewed the game barely played it at all, because they were outright wrong about a lot of the game mechanics and design. And it's not like you need to play it for a long time to figure that shit out. By the way people were talking about the game, I figured, like, I'd start it up and my character would be upside down and enemies would be randomly clipping in and out of existence, and my gun simply wouldn't shoot properly, and it's games with that, it's a game with that kind of reception. But no, as you're seeing, it's a perfectly okay third-person shooter. There's nothing horrendous about it. At worst, it's inoffensive, and it would not appeal to anyone outside of, you know, arena shooter fans who are looking for a quick fix. That's not the worst thing to be. What a weird-ass world we live in. Like, I understand a lot of the things I enjoy. I get why people dislike those things. I get it, you know? I'm not dumb. I get why people dislike Postal 3 and think it's bad, alright? I get why people dislike a lot of the things I like and think they're bad. I still think they're wrong a lot of the time, but I get it. This one, I don't get so much. It's just a very normal third-person arena shooter. There's a decent variety in levels with distinctive layouts. There's a decent variety in guns. The game pads its length a bit, yeah, but that's kind of expected of a game like this, isn't it? By far the worst criticism about this game, even worse than the objectively wrong criticisms in my book, is, you know, the shotgun we're using right now? It's a pump-action shotgun. It's very clearly a pump-action shotgun. You can tell it's a pump-action shotgun. The game even calls it a pump-action shotgun in the weapon select screen. But at least 2 reviewers complained that it had no spread. It's a fucking pump-action shotgun. What do you mean it has no spread? Of course it has no spread. It's a pump-action shotgun. It's not like it doesn't serve a purpose either. It utterly erases enemies up close, and it's decent at a medium distance. You know? It's not an awful gun by any means. Like, Christ. It's like people didn't even try. It's like people were looking for excuses to hate the game before they even gave it a chance. You get paid to review games. You should hold yourself to a higher standard than this. Come on. It's funny because I easily find the pump-action shotgun to be the most effective weapon in the game, especially when it's fully upgraded, but apparently it's awful, and I don't know what I'm talking about. So, the final encounter has started. Partway through the final encounter, a boss health bar will appear, and we will be faced with a boss enemy. The boss enemies look like the normal enemies, but they are stronger and have special buffs. They give them extra abilities that normal enemies do not have. They get more buffs on higher difficulties, which you'll see later when I turn up the difficulty. But for now, they only have 1 buff. This is the default difficulty we're playing on, by the way. This is the difficulty the game auto-selects for you when you start it up. The music in this game is pretty alright, by the way. It's not outstanding, just like the rest of the game. Not really outstanding, but it got stuck in my head sheerly for... there's the boss health bar. So, that little icon, that means this boss can dematerialize, as you're about to see, and just go away somewhere else. And that makes it a little irritating to fight her, because the AI knows to dematerialize when you get close to it and just run away. And it's possible to still shoot the AI while it's dematerialized, but it takes a really long time because the AI also slowly refills its health while it's dematerialized. I say slowly, but slowly is not the right word. As you saw, its health jumps up when it starts refilling its health. So this boss takes a while, and you've basically already seen what I'm going to do during this boss, is chase it down and shoot it a few times, then it runs away. This boss type gets a lot easier when you have better weapons, but with the weapons we have now, it's kind of difficult to fight this particular boss type, which is a shame, because most of the boss types are not this frustrating. So, after you shoot the boss enough times, it gets knocked over, and you can either stand next to it to arrest it, or you can just shoot it until it dies. Now, this may seem weird because you don't get any bonus for arresting it, like you don't get any bonus to your score or anything, or you don't get any extra money. But in higher difficulties, often arresting the bad guy, the boss rather, can be easier than just killing it, because the enemies are stronger. The enemies rushing you while you're trying to arrest the boss, are much stronger. There's more of them, and the boss's health will refill really quickly. So you're just shooting it at that point to make sure it doesn't respawn itself, not just to make sure you can arrest it in time. Arresting is a mercy on the higher difficulties. A mercy to you, not a mercy to the boss.